Here's the instructions on how to assemble your bench when it arrives. Okay, so you're going to want to find the bench top. It's going to look like this here. It's going to have an arrow on the bottom like that. So you're just going to place this on the floor. So the finished top's going to be down. Make sure you do this on a soft surface, carpeting, rug, something like that. Face the arrow towards you. Okay. Next, you're going to grab your bottom support piece. It's going to have an arrow on it. It's going to have a number 1 on it. So we're just going to set that right on top, like this. Next, we're going to grab our ends. So these are going to be labeled with an L or an R. So this one's an L. So from where I'm sitting, this is going to be on my left side. You're going right like this. You're going to grab our hardware pack. You're going to want to find the silver, the long silver screws. Look like this here. You can either use a Phillips or a number 2 square. You can also use a screwdriver. I'm just using a drill. If you're using a drill, try to get one of the longer bits. It just works better for these. I do prefer the number 2 square. It just works a little better, but say if you have a Phillips, that works fine too. So you're going to want to find these pocket screws right here. And make sure it's even along this front edge on the outside. And then just hold some pressure, kind of hold them together. And install the screw. All the holes should be pre-drilled, so everything should line up perfectly. So I'm going to go around with this back one right here. Do it right here. Now we're just going to jump over and repeat the same process on the other side. This one has an R. We're going to put it like this. Important to make sure it's flush along that front edge right there. And again, just kind of hold some pressure, hold these two together as the screw in. You don't need to screw them real tight, just to where they come together nice and snug. Okay, now you'll notice on the bench top, maybe hard to see in the video, but there's some lines. So you're basically just going to take the corners of the bench and put them inside those lines. Should be an even overhang all the way around. Okay, when they're inside those lines, right here, there's some pocket screws that go down. We'll put them in here. And we're going to jump over to the other side, do the same thing. Make sure it's inside those lines where it's supposed to be. And then there's going to be 6 screws here that go down into the top. Point, you're going to take the bench and we're going to set it up on its end, just like this. Once we get it up on its end, we're going to grab our middle shelf. It's going to be labeled with a number 2 on it. So in the same orientation as this arrow, just make sure this arrow is facing towards the front of the bench. Just going to set it in here right like this. You're going to notice there's a line right here. Put the bottom of the shelf even with that line. And you're going to lift some pressure up on this one to allow this to slide in. And then lift up on this one and put it even with the bottom of that line. And you're going to make sure it's even along this front edge up here. Okay, we'll grab our silver screws again. There's going to be 2 that go in right here. It's going to be hard to see, but there is a line, the same thing on the other side. Make sure it's even with that line along the bottom of your shelf, and then make sure it's even along this front edge. These screws we're not going to put in all the way. We're just going to put them in a little bit just to hold it there right now. We're going to tighten those up later. Okay, now we're going to grab our bottom floor piece. It's going to be labeled with an arrow and a number 3 on the bottom. Let's do it the same way. There's also a line right here for the bottom of the shelf, even with that line. If we need to, we can lift up a little bit on this. That's why we didn't tighten those other ones up quite all the way yet. Okay. Even along the front edge, even with the line. Install the screws. Even with that line. Okay, now we're going to jump back inside and finish tightening these up. Okay, now we're going to install the back pieces. So we're going to move all our screws aside. It'll probably be a few extras. So we're going to place the bench back on its top again. Make sure all the screws are clear before you set it down. So you'll set it on top of the screw. Put it back on its back again. We're going to find our top again. We're going to find the back piece with the 1 and the arrow. We're just going to set it inside this little groove channel right here. Just like that. There's some smaller black screws in your hardware pack. These do require a Phillips bit, so if you use the number 2 square, you're going to have to switch to Phillips, but it's got another drill standing by here. So you're just going to put some screws in, some holes right here. Okay, then we're going to grab our other top piece, label with a 2 and an arrow, and we can point the arrow down the same way the arrow is going to be pointing towards the bench top. Install our screws. Screw here. Okay, and at this point you can just set the bench back up. There you go. So if you have any questions or any problems with assembly, thank you.